What does world-class real estate look like to you?
It's about creating relationships,
consistent communication.
Estate agency with a great culture, who care for their people, who care for their clients, who care for their customers, without just looking at the number at the end of the commission check.
I think it's about amazing customer service.
It's about people, not property.
A special thanks to our sponsors, Iceberg Digital, for sponsoring this week's episode.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the World Class Real Estate Podcast. As you know, my name is Mark Well. I'm joined by Mr. Ian Macbeth and straight from the outset today, Chris Webb as well. Good morning, Chris. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very good. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we're looking forward to this, Chris. So, Chris, obviously from the Estate Agency Consultancy, or the Estate Agent Consultant, which is key actually, because you do highlight that you like to work specifically with those individuals and those solos more than the corporates, but you have done that in the background, I think, previously, haven't you?
Yeah, so my last proper job, inverted commas, before launching the Estate Agent Consultancy, I was National Performance Director with the Property Franchise Group. So used to dealing with lots of franchises, and that was sort of what I was doing before, and went into the Estate Agent Consultancy. So I've worked with agencies, all sizes, big, small, medium. For me, I work with smaller estate agents now because I enjoy it more, which is probably the most important part of it. Second part of it is I feel like I have a bigger effect on that person's life and business by being smaller. So, for example, if I went to, let's take Connells as a nice, easy one to aim for, and I increased their revenue by £1 million, like no one would care. Like the shareholders would slightly care, like maybe the MD would care, like they'd be moderately happy about it. If I increase a solo's estate agency by £100,000, for example, change their life.
Yeah.
But they're like, suddenly I've got a nice car, I go on holidays, we're buying a new house, I can spend time with my kids, like that's changed their life. Whereas, to Connells, it's like, oh, okay, like it's just an extra £1 million, like no big deal. Whereas to a small independent agent, you get people come forward and go, like, I used to be in this position, to be really like stuck and sad and upset and no leads and frustrating working hour of the day. And they're like, actually now I'm going on holiday and I've got a nice car and all this stuff. So it's like, great. So that for me, that's a nice reward of the job. And I kind of feel that more with small agencies than the big ones.
Yeah, I love that. I love that idea of being able to choose when you run your own business. Something I've talked about a few times in recent podcasts. The ability to choose your market when you run your own business is a really powerful thing, I think. But we're going to kick off with the first question that we always do, Chris. So, what does world-class real estate look like to you?
I think that is being I think I use the word holistic, even though it sounds like a bit of a douchey word to say. I think that the world is changing in estate agency these days, and it is changing from the old school just phone your database and bang on some doors and walk the streets and shoot. I mean, that stuff works. Don't get me wrong, that stuff absolutely works. You can grow a very good business off the back of it. I think what being world class these days looks like is being an all rounder with regard to digital marketing as well, and looks like being you need to have a solid YouTube game, for example, and know exactly how it works and exactly how that feeds into your business. From an estate agent, you need to have a solid social media game. And it's not just I post on social media because everyone else does it and I think that it's the cool thing to do. It's like I post on social media, I post this content, which leads into this lead magnet, which leads into this in my system, which then leads into this nurture campaign, which then leads to instructions for my business. And it's therefore making a business which is scalable beyond you if you want it to, rather than just doing the old school, I stop knocking on front doors, therefore the world stops. And it's making a business that gives you a platform and momentum to actually have choices in your life, rather than as soon as I stop knocking on doors, my business just grinds to a halt in a second. You've actually got a platform where you're like, actually, as long as I just produce my content now and again, which I can batch record and stuff like that, then my business can fly from there. So it's being an all-round marketer, as well as being an estate agent, as well as being an amazing boss, as well as being an amazing business person. That is what being world-class is.
And we'll dive. I think we'll dive into the marketing shortly. But do you think, just a bit of a random question on that, do you think that's the difference between creating a business and having a job? In terms of, particularly if you're working with a solo estate agent, I think there's a difference and a tendency just to do the knocking on doors and the phone calls, almost the easy stuff, the stuff that we've always done. Do you try and focus people to create more of a business if they want to? Of course, choice is a massive thing in this, but creating all of those systems and that scalability is creating more of a business than just a job. Is that one of the things that you do with your clients?
Right. Well, I think the first thing that I would try and convey is that being a great estate agent isn't enough. Like if you're great at listing properties, selling properties, negging deals, being on the phone, doing like being a proper estate agent, inverted commas, that is probably 20% of the gig. So that is fine. And I speak to agents all day, every day, who are like, I've got the best sales rate, I've got the best instruction rate, I get the best fee, but I'm being called out on 3 market appraisals a month. And I'm like, great. Well, good news. You're a great estate agent, you're really good at the job. But the terrible bit of that is that your estate agency business, which is 80% of that, is not delivering you what you need. Because otherwise, you're the best agent in town. Great, you're amazing, but no one knows it. You're literally like the best kept secret in town. So first things first, does anyone even know you exist? Once you've got to the point where people actually know you exist and your phone starts ringing, then you can go, right, well, what direction do you want to go in here? And one of the first conversations I have with anybody is what's sort of the end goal here? Where do we want to get to? Is it, I want to sell it? Is it, I want to just, twindle it away and then I'll do it when I retire and I'll work 3 days a week and then I'll kind of disappear into the never land? What do you want from it? Because there's different directions to go in there. And I think how can I put this? The shock that is slightly down the line for some agents is that they're not building a business enough for selling or for future plans. They're kind of going, right, I'm making 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand a month at the moment. Great, amazing, absolutely great. But in some time in the future, that is going to stop and they'll be like, I haven't really got an asset. I've just got a job, basically. So a large part of that, depending on what the person wants from it, is converting that and going, right, actually, how do we make this a business around you? And I think there's sort of generally 2 rules you look for with any estate agency business. Number one is you're trying to make yourself redundant as quick as possible. So you want to make yourself as smaller and smaller cog as you possibly can do, because people like go on a holiday, you might get hit by a bus, you might have, break your leg, wherever it may be. And if you're the main person in that, you've got some issues. So the smaller cog you are, the more momentum you'll carry in your business when you're not there. And the second part of it is you want to create roles within your business. So by you making yourself a smaller cog, you might go, God, I'm posting so much on social media at the moment. I'm posting 3 times a day on social media. I've got my YouTube channel. I've got to do my thumbnails, got to do my podcast. You're like, actually, this is a full-time job. And you know what? You're absolutely right. It is a full-time person's job. Right, get you a social media manager who can take all that stuff away from you. So you might go, actually, I'm doing this other part of the business so much. Great, well, that's a person's job. I'm doing so much, admin and paperwork and onboarding so many properties that I've got AML going my backside sort of thing. Got all these things going on. Great, that's a person's job. So the sort of naivety of a business owner to start off with, and I've most definitely fallen into this trap myself, so this is me kind of preaching for my soapbox here, is that you are the best person for everything when you first start. And you're like, I'm the best administrator, I'm the best viewings person, I'm the best lister, I'm the best at admin, I'm the best at doing pictures, I'm the best at everything. And eventually, hopefully, the penny will drop and you'll go, actually, I don't want everything to go through me. I'd much rather I had an amazing admin person who just was like 10 times better than me at admin. I wish I had an amazing sales who was just 10 times better than me at that. And it's actually making yourself sort of the stupidest person at the company should also be where you're looking at, because you're employing great people and the pinch point isn't just through you.
Yeah, having people that can do what you can do better for estate agents is quite a difficult thing, I would imagine, as a trainer to get buy-in on, because we're a confident bunch on the face of it, most estate agents, and therefore our belief is that we do everything the best and blah 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 blah. I've mentioned it a couple of times on this podcast actually about seeing an employee as an investment in your time so that you can put your time elsewhere to something you want to do. And also, yes, maybe someone comes in and they don't do it as well as you, but they can do it better, which is what you've said there is a really key thing. So outsourcing and getting that infrastructure in for you to be the goal scorer, if you want to use the football analogy, getting all the other positions covered by people is a really good way to run that business. What are the biggest challenges you find with the people that you work with, those specific independents, those self-employed agents, and the one-man band type people that have got these aspects of goals that they want to achieve, but in the day-to-day kind of nit and gritty, what are the biggest challenges that you find in 2026 at the moment with those guys and girls?
Yeah, I think that for anybody who's in that space, the conversation is never far away from lead generation. It's never, and I think that lead generation can buy your way out of a lot of problems, basically. Because if you're sat here today with 20 market appraisals next week, you're like, well, okay, I haven't got much of a pipeline. I've got 20 market appraisals next week. I'll probably get at least half of them sort of thing. I'll probably sell half of those. That's a good future going forward. Whereas if you look forward and go, well, I've only got 1 market appraisal next month, it's like, well, one instruction, best case scenario sort of thing. That's, that's going to be one sale down the line off the back of it. So you're kind of predicting your future there. Estate agency marketing and the world of estate agency is a bit of a slow cooker. It's not a microwave. It's not like, oh, I'm suddenly going to press this button and the world's going to come alive. It's like plan ahead, and it's 90 days. It's going to kind of decide probably the next couple of months for your business sort of thing. So lead generation is never far away. And I think that I wouldn't say mistake, the oversight that people have is that there's never any training really with regard to marketing in the estate agency. There's never anything out there to go, oh great, you want to generate leads, this is what you should. There's all things you should do, like, oh, I should go knock on some doors, I should probably do some leaflets, or I would do so and so. But there's no like strategy behind it. It's just like, oh, I just post on social media because everyone else does it. They do funny videos, so maybe I should do some funny videos as well. They do, they put boards up outside, probably I should put some boards up outside. It's just like this kind of copying other people, but unfortunately they're all just copying other people as well who also aren't great. So you're kind of just in this sort of like circle of, we're all just doing this because we're kind of doing it sort of thing, not because you've actually got an end result in mind of it. So yeah, lead generation is never far away from the conversation. It can be frustrating for me because I talk to people who are brilliant estate agents. You'd have them in your living room and you're like, oh my God, you've got 20 years experience, you're smashing, you've done every job under the sun. But I'll be like, you've only got one valuation in your diary. Like, do you not think your bigger focus should be here? How do I get myself in front of more people locally? At least then you've got the opportunity. If you get, if you go on 20 valuations and you lose 19 of them, okay, we've got different issues to deal with. But let's kind of just look at that sales funnel. And unfortunately for lots of agencies, they've got a drain pipe. Literally, it's like, I've got one valuation at the top, get one instruction, I sell one property, I get one completion, I then look out the window and go, well, wonder what I should do next. And so it's going, right, well, first things first, let's just get you in front of some people and then we can decide what happens from there. Let's get some options in front of you. Let's get you some valuations. Let's get you into some instructions. I can then take a step back and go, right, you're really good at this. Awesome. But you're terrible at that. That is just awful conversions. We need to change that completely. Change. Do this instead. Because unfortunately, if you've only got one valuation, as I mentioned, you're pretty stuffed.
And if you're meeting a solo agent, self-employed, who has got that lead generation issue, we know there's no silver bullet, but where do you start? What's the first thing or top priority aspect that you're looking at to help really kickstart that lead generation?
Yep. So there's two routes I would look at for this, and I would almost see this as sort of not old school business versus new style business, but this is how I would describe it. And you've got two vehicles and two cars. One is your old school marketing. It is your door knocks, it's your letters, it's your leaflets, it's your all that sort of stuff. So stuff you're like, it's a pain in the ass, but you should do it. It's all those things. That is fine. That will deliver a quick result for your business. That will, you knock on the front door, it's a great conversation, great, I'll come see you tomorrow, great, it's an instruction by the weekend. Good news. That is one vehicle, but I'm also very aware that if you died of death or stop doing anything, that stops very quickly. So that is, you can do it. You can run from here to London. You can do it. I'm sure people have done it, and would it be quick? No. Would it be a pain in the ass? Absolutely. If I stop, would I stop? Absolutely. I can do that. But what the smarter move is to sort of make yourself a vehicle. I know we were talking about Tesla before we came on today, so great segue. Get yourself a vehicle that you can actually build in your business that carries momentum and actually gives you the means to go forward with. And that is online assets, it is books, it is guides, it is anything you've got where actually, as long as I pump out a little bit of content here and there, the machine just carries on outside of it. If you have a YouTube channel, for example, so I get 500 views a day on my YouTube channel, and that's on old videos. That's on stuff that I've done a year ago. That's an asset that I've made. It took me, half an hour to record it, half an hour to edit it, sort of thing. Not a drama. It will get that many views every single day, just for life, hopefully. And it's getting these assets in place, from online advertising to your social media, to your lead magnets, to your bulk email campaigns, all these things that you go, actually, I've got a database of 10,000 people now. Great, I just write this email out, right, you want to sell the house then? Right, send. Oh, I've got one person come back. It's like when you see those emails from a Nigerian prince saying you've won the lottery, and you think to yourself, who on earth is falling for that? Like, who on earth is falling for that? It's a terribly written email, but they're emailing a million people. So all they need is one person to come back and go, oh, fantastic, that Nigerian lottery ticket's finally paid off. And as if by magic, they've got their money. So if you've got those assets there, you can just scale it out. So that's how I would look at it. And the goal here is that, yes, we're going to start off by doing both those two vehicles. And to start off with, yes, the old school stuff is going to work quicker. The door knocking, the leaflet dropping, the letters, all that sort of stuff is going to work quicker. But what is going to happen after about months 6, 7, 8, or 9 is actually your vehicle you prepared, all the online stuff, is actually going to overtake that. And eventually you'll be like, oh, I can actually just stop doing that door knocking and leaflet dropping and stuff. I don't really need to do it necessarily because I've got this vehicle, and I can then just push the business forward. And for me, it's a bit of a tangent here, but it's all about ownership within your business. So, for example, if you're going to a networking event, my first thought should be, I should have my own networking event. If someone says to you, "Oh, do you want to come on our podcast?" You should be thinking, "I should really have my own podcast." If someone says to you, "Oh, do you want to sign up to my newsletter?" I would think, "I should have my own newsletter, really." So therefore, because if you ever need anything, if you, for example, got to the end of the month and you're like, "Oh, I really could do with some instructions," for example, I can't phone up Ian or Beth and go, "Ian, do us a favour, mate, get us on the podcast. Yeah, get us on your newsletter. Oh, can I come on your social media?" It's a bit like you can't do that. Whereas I'm like, if I need that, and I've got these assets in my business, and I've got the YouTube channel, I've got the social media content, I've got the people on my CRM system, for example, I just email out and say, "Yeah, we're doing a January offer, we're doing so and so, we're just throwing in it. Like, do you want a valuation?" Like, you can just do whatever it may be to give yourself that boost. But if you haven't got those assets, what have you got?
With that accountability as well, and with that knowledge, I guess is the key thing. Do you think estate agency is more gearing now around? We talk a lot about personal brand, and you see some of the other countries where the estate agent and the personal brand is the strongest part of the marketing pool.
Yeah.
But do you think we're gearing more around? And you mentioned Connells and where you were previously, around these individuals that have now got someone like yourself in your corner, that's helping them stay aligned, staying on point, consultancy at a high level. They've also got outsourced marketing delivery because, they need someone to do the creative, the media files, the video edits, the graphic design, etc. Maybe they're helping them with some cornerstone blog writing and stuff like that as well. Then at the same time, they potentially have got some support from a admin perspective. You mentioned AML, kind of chasing legals, those side of things. Do you think that's more how the best estate agents are gearing towards, is the personal brand is the magnet, but then they've got this infrastructure around them? And when I guess when you see these agents come and join your setup, the biggest problem they've got is they don't have expertise in the room. They're amazing estate agents, but they don't have expertise in marketing. They don't have admin support, probably. They don't have a few other areas that they could really do with some support on delivery, maybe viewing support, or, whatever the model is and how it sits. Is that maybe more how we see the most profitable estate agents forming over the next kind of 3 to 5 years?
The mistake that lots of people make at that sort of stage of their business, and I see this all the time, and I tell some of my clients off about it, is that you launch your own estate agency business and you're like, I want to be different. I'm going to do different stuff for everyone else. I might do a daily vlog, for example, or I might do some funny social media content, or I'll appear on camera all the time, whatever it may be. And then you start getting busy, and then you kind of become what is like a business, effectively. You're like, oh, I've got a VA now, and I've got a sales progressor, and I've got a viewings person, I've got whatever, and the business gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And as you get bigger, you dilute down what made you special to start off with. You're like, oh, I've got to make some optimism over here, so therefore I can't do that anymore. Yeah, that social media content, I haven't got time to do anymore. I'll just put some Canva stuff up effectively. What you effectively do is all the stuff that made you unique to start off with. Everyone's like, oh God, I love your social media content. Oh, they're so funny. I love the videos you do. I love those letters you do. I love the market updates you do. They're all really, actually, I haven't got time to do that anymore. And eventually what you just turned into is like milky tea. And you just turn into another high street estate agent of like, oh, because I'm sure once upon a time, going back a long time ago, Winkworth was launched in 1880 something or other. I'm sure once upon a time they were cutting edge, and they were like, oh, we do this really cool stuff, and we do this, and we do our listings on scrolls or whatever it may be. And everyone thought it was amazing. And then as they got bigger and bigger and bigger, they got more and more diluted to the point where like, oh yeah, we're just a business now. We just have to sell houses. So I think that the important thing is hanging on to what makes you a good business and a good brand, and hang on to that for dear life. So, as we've grown as a business, I've got obviously, commitments here, left, right, and center. My face is front and center, and it will stay to be front and center for a very, very long time, because that for me is an important part of our business. And to kind of link into your question there, Ian, I think that, personal brand is massive. And I wouldn't recommend anyone gets a billboard, because I think it's a bit of a waste of time marketing wise. But if I was going to get a billboard, it would pretty much just be me. It would pretty much just be me stood on a billboard with a couple of sentences next to it about selling a house locally. It would be my face, my body. This is who I am. I want to walk down the high street and people would go, you're that guy from the billboard. Because we know that most issues estate agents have is, does anybody even know you exist? To start off with, they even know you're on the planet. And if they know you as that Muppet on that billboard who looks a bit stupid, great. I'm absolutely fine. I've got no problems at all with that in any way, shape, or form. So, the human brain can recognize a face from 100 meters away. They went to the school with 20 years ago. A logo walking on the high street, Not quite so much. So the logo is there to give you a brand guarantee, let's call it, to say, right, this is what, I've dealt with this person in Slough, I can deal with this person over in Essex, and they'll be exact same service. I know what I'm getting. I know it's from start to finish. This is their sort of proven formula from start to finish. I know what I'm getting. But with regard to sort of people going, who is that estate agent again? The one with the, what's me call it? So I'm like, oh, Bob, I see Bob everywhere. He's the guy I want to go for. So for me, as a business, personal brand is non-negotiable. You need to get your face out there as much as possible. And people come to me all the time and go, yeah, but I'm 65 years old and I'm not great looking and I'm so-and-so. And I'm like, even better if you were 19 years old in LA in your bikini. Of course you're on bloody social media. You're 19 years old in LA in your bikini. But if you're like, some old guy who's 85 years old and with his selfie stick, I'm like, Christ, I watched that video. How many 85-year-old guys are on social media doing video content? So it isn't about, I look this way or I sound this way. People don't care. Just like put your face out there, get your communication about what you do. You will realize very quickly, hopefully, that you know a significant amount more than the general public. I think the mistake that many agents make is that they kind of hang out with other estate agents and talk to other estate agents in other agents' Facebook groups. So they presume that everyone else is a 9 out of 10 with regard to knowledge in estate agency. Talk to the public, you realize that everyone is a bit of a moron when it comes to moving houses. And they're actually like a 2 out of 10. So you doing a video saying you should probably cut your grass before you have a valuation, you might go, well, obviously, like everybody knows that. Like you'd be stupid not to do that. But you do it and people are like, oh my God, that's really helpful. Thank you so much. So it's about understanding that personal brand is the key thing for your business. And yes, as you grow systems around it, you could technically dilute that, but I definitely wouldn't. In fact, I'd be going, right, I've got an extra 4 hours per week. What's going to really piss off the agents locally? Right, I can start running events now. Great, start doing an event. Right, I can start doing a Facebook Live once a month. What can we do to really double down on what we've got in the local area?
I love that message on embrace your individualism. And actually, what a message that is if people are stopping, if there is that sort of barrier about personal image and what have you, stopping them getting on video in particular. I think there's still agents who are probably having that conversation internally or with the teams. I love that message that embrace who you are and get that out there, because there is nothing more memorable than seeing your face on social. Do you see a lot of agents that are worried about that stuff, that's the thing that's stopping them doing video? Because video is such a powerful tool to create that recognition, and yet we still are seeing a lot of agents fail to embrace that. Is it that worry of what do I sound like, what do I look like, and how would you help agents overcome that?
Okay, if I should ask this question before we press record, can I swear on this podcast?
Yeah, you're all right.
Okay, cool. I'll let everyone in on a little secret, which is going to change your life, not only on video content, but it's going to change your life. No one gives a shit. Literally, no one gives a shit about you, your video, your face, what you sound like, your hairline, your wrinkles, whether you're big, small. No one gives a shit. Literally, I cannot be clear enough that no one gives a shit. Like if someone said to me the other day, I was like, I don't really want to do video content. I was like, okay, well, talk me through what the worst things that could happen in your video. And they're like, well, I trip up a curb, a car beeps me on the way past, I stand in some dog poo, and I was like, I'd watch that video. I'll probably watch it twice.
That's the best video.
You should do that. You should look out for that.
Exactly. I'd watch that. The best videos that you see online, but usually get the most engagement, are the bloopers, where people spend half their life swearing, going, "Oh bloody hell, I got it wrong again, and I can't say the word potato," and what, all these things are ones people watch over and over again. So trust me, I think that the mistake people make is that the thing that people care. Like honestly, no one cares. Like. And if you do it long enough, and I don't mean like a long time, like I've been posting twice a day for the last 3 years or so, so I'm up to now. So I kind of think to myself, like, you know what I look like, you know what I sound like here we are sort of thing. I'm too deep already. But after a month, if you post every single day for a month or so, you'll be like, everyone knows what I look like. They know what I sound like. Like it's just me. Yes. And I've got a bit of a posh voice and a bit of a side pie and a bit of a speeding hairline, a bit wrinkly. I don't really care. Like I'm fine with it. I think that people are kind of, I've done enough content now, and I'm like, everyone knows what I sound like and what I look like. So what's the problem? So if you're worried about it, with any of these things, the comfort will come after you've done it. So you'll look back and go, God, I was really scared about doing that, but now I've done it. Actually, it wasn't that big a deal. But so you've got to do that first step. But even if it's just a selfie with you next to a sale board, great. No problem at all. If it's the first video saying we've just sold a house, great. It doesn't need to be groundbreaking. Yes, down the line we can talk about click-throughs and call to actions and hooks and whatever. But let's just get a video saying I've just sold a house in New Road. I'm really happy about it. These guys are really happy as well. Great. But again, Yeah, the average person scrolls the length of 3 Eiffel Towers every single day. So if you got your phone screen, which is what, 5 inches long, stuck down the bottom of the Eiffel Tower, 3 of those every single day, no one cares. Literally, no one cares. You are a speck of sand on their social media horizon. So for you to think you are like, oh my God, I must be the first 15 page, I'm sorry, you're not. You're simply not. So I wouldn't get confused and think that everyone cares what you're doing and looking at what you're doing. Because yeah, some people look at it and go, "Oh, what a stupid video!" But I bet they're not doing video. I bet they're not. They're like, "Oh yeah, if I did a video, it'd be great. It'd be much better than your." They're just not doing it. So why would you take advice from people who aren't doing it anyway and care what they think?
I think there's evidence in that as well, which is videos with props from a statistic point of view, just get a better result. They get a better engagement. So, if for no reason at all, I'm doing a reel and I'm just holding my mouse here like this, the evidence that they don't care what you look like is in the fact that the prop is because they want to know, like, why is he holding that mouse there? Or, you see people that have got the caps on and now they've started wearing the mics on the caps. Or we always find it when we bring our mics out, most of the time on our videos, when we're holding the handheld mics, there's nothing in them. We're actually clipped up here. We're literally just doing it for the engagement. And it just shows the evidence of what you're saying there, that they don't care. The only thing I've ever had of anyone on me is always the eyebrows. And that's like 0.5% of the videos. Someone will mention the brows. And that's absolutely fine because I find it really funny. But they just don't care about that. So I think it's a really good message for a estate agent. But the other thing I think now as well, while we talk about video, some videos out there, you mentioned the scroll, whether it's estate agency or more specifically outside of estate agency, are so good, so high level, so well produced. And estate agents, I think, are now, for the ones I talk to, get a bit put off by that because they're seeing these really well edited, created, produced, motivational videos or podcasts at high level or TV clips or whatever it may be. But that's not our lane as well. And that's not what we're appealing to. The authenticity that you spoke about is the most important thing that we can share with people, because we do have a lot of knowledge about the property market. I did a video yesterday in the car park at a hotel around the corner, and it was windy, and I was just having fun with the wind on the video. I'm not going to edit that. I said it's really windy here, so if you can't hear me, then I'm sorry, you've probably switched off. That's part of the video. It's just part of the fun of doing it. So I think be natural with it and don't strive for perfection, because it's not a thing that's out there. And like you said, no one gives a shit. So, just get on and do it. I think most estate agents could probably list 100 ways to get valuations. And I think I've got something that I did with the Avocado Partners. We've got about 147 ways to get a valuation, all the way back to like Christmas cards through to outdoors to, YouTube adverts or whatever it may be. You've mentioned a lot about kind of different ways of doing things. We know there's no silver bullet, but if you looking at maybe where you were Property Franchise Group before, seeing what you're seeing now, what do you think, in your opinion, I won't hold you to it, is the single best ROI that you can get in lead generation at the moment? If you were to only have £500 to save someone's business, where would you kind of say put that 500 quid?
Yeah, sure. Well, you mentioned the best ROI to start off with, then you mentioned £500. So I'll answer the initial question if that's okay. So if I had no money whatsoever and I thought to myself, what's the best ROI? Your job as an agent is to have as many conversations with people as you possibly can do. So the more people you stand in front of who live locally, the best your business will do. So there is a correlation between how many chats you have with local homeowners and how many instructions you get. So I'll be thinking to myself, what is the most direct way, and in this example, what's the cheapest way of me getting in front of local homeowners where I can have a conversation who want to sell their property? So therefore, people have boards in their front garden that say, I'm looking to sell a home. Well, great. Well, I can knock on their front door, have a conversation and say, look, where are you looking to move to? What's your plans for the future? You're on the market currently. Might be going well, might not be going well. But what's your plans for the future? Where are you looking to go to? What's your next step? Because chances are they're moving within half a mile up the road. Great. Can I help you find your next property? Great. Okay. Suddenly you've got a social media campaign to say, let's find Bob a house sort of thing. Let's get some marketing on the local area, trying to get Bob a property. Let's look at old withdrawn properties, try and get Bob a house through that. And as if by magic, you're doing all this hard work for this homeowner. As soon as they fall out with their agent in any way, shape or form, they're like, oh my God, Chris, you've done so much for me over the last couple of weeks or so, and you never asked for anything in return. Actually, I'm a bit of a hard time in my place, actually. Do you come around and value that one for me? It's like, well, yeah, probably could do actually. Thank you very much. So it's about going above and beyond for people. But if you're looking at the budget restraints, what's the cheapest way we can do and get in front of people locally? And social media is free. Yes, it's a longer burn. It's probably going to take 6 months of posting before you get any communication on the back of it. If you're doing organic social media, do not expect your first post and be like, well, the valuations are going to come tomorrow, because they're not. We started doing a big push on YouTube about 18 months ago. And I thought to myself, if I get anything for a year, I'll be happy with that. That's doing a video every single week, editing, filming, all this sort of stuff. I thought I'll do that for a year. And if I get one thing off the back of it, great. So that's the sort of level of, I don't say commitment's the wrong word, but the level of sort of switching off to the results that you need to do to make these things work. But anything that gets you in front of people in your local area, you've got to be thinking to yourself, that is the way forward with it. Whether that is door knocking, whether that is networking, whether that is events, whatever it may be, to go, actually, this is people who live in the local area and they can just talk to me and I can have a conversation with them, the better you will do. If you think about 6 degrees of separation, if you live in a small town or a small village, obviously, if you're doing a core patch in your business, which you should be doing, which is probably smaller than most people expect, everyone is going to know everybody. So if if you sell one person's property who goes to the local primary school, for example, they probably know everyone else on the playground. So you don't need 6 degrees of separation. You're probably like 2 degrees of separation away from everybody in the local village by the fact you're doing that. So all the time, it's asking and getting yourself in the right positions.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
£500 part of
that? Spend it on a meal when you get your first instruction. No, I would say... I said spend it on a meal when you get your first instruction. £500 is not a mega budget in the grand scheme of things. So what I would probably look at doing is you can spend it on, you could chip it away on things like letters, for example. You can chip it away and stuff like that. So you can spend it quite happily on that side of things. But I think that the big message that I would get across it, if you are going to spend money on letters or leaflets or anything like that sort of print marketing with your £500, it isn't for you. So your marketing you do isn't for your business. So if you do some marketing saying we've just sold a house in your area, again, like I said earlier, no one gives a shit. They care about themselves, they care about their own lives, they care about what they've got going on. Where if you go forward and go, I've recorded a market update for literally for your 3 streets that you live in, and you can scan this QR code to watch that video, great. That's a good place to be. Yeah, you're welcome. Merry Christmas. Just have that as a freebie. And then that video, you've got a nice little call to action that says, hey, if you like the sound of what I've talked about today, you can actually just book a 15-minute chat with me. Just click this link below here and you can book a time in my diary. Great. That's nice and easy. If that starts doing well, great. Well, let's scale it up. Let's put some money behind it. So, if you're doing organic social media, for example, to kind of pick the digital route, great. Well, let's do a whole range of posts for the first 2 weeks. Some are funny, some are not funny, some's a market update, some serious. And then go, right, take a step back. Right, what are the winners? Right, my winners are that funny one I did really well, and that one with the market update I did really well. Great, well, let's put some money behind those. Let's put some money behind those every single day. Let's just turn it into an advert. And the great news is that you actually don't need to do that much work these days, because historically, you would take a post that did quite well, you would then change the writing around it. Instead of saying, I've just sold this house, you would say, I've just sold this house, and we could sell your house too, and book a free valuation sort of thing. These days, you don't need to do that. You literally just boost it and say, book your valuation. You don't even need to change the text to say we've sold a property, because if you chat about you're selling a house or a market update, etc., people put 2 and 2 together quite quickly. So you actually don't need to change your best performing posts into adverts. You just put some money behind it, and everyone else just works off what's going to happen off the bat. So for me, what is going to work in one area and what's not going to work in an area, no idea. I can shrug my shoulders and go, I've got absolutely no idea. In the same way I could talk to an estate agent and say, what's this house going to sell for? Because it could sell for 250, it could sell for 251, it could sell for 252, 11. Got no idea. In the same way, the marketing for your business, we don't know what's going to work. Yes, we've got a formula that we go, this should be working. This is the stuff we should be coming forward with. But ultimately, how that looks in 6 months' time, 3 months' time, exactly down to what's the winners and what's the losers, that is going to change over time. There's only good testing, taking those figures on board and going, what are our winners? Let's double down on that.
I do think the market update for me, I always bang on about it with my lot, that it's just such an undervalued tool, because you go back to sharing the knowledge that we've got with your local market, explaining what you think is going to happen with the property market, in March, for example. It's just such a valuable tool. And we get so obsessed with likes and comments and Instagram reel watchers and things like that. But if I do a local market update for Crowthorne, where I live, and 250 people watch that for 75% of the video, and then I could do another video the next day and I could mention
anything to make it go viral. We all know there's hot topics that we could talk about to make something go viral, but that doesn't matter, because actually the 250 people that are obviously in Crowthorne, that are interested in the property market, that have watched the property market video where I'm building trust, showing a level of authority, that's the most valuable 250 watchers that I can get. Now, not all 250 people are ready to move today, but if I did it every single month and, you know, they watch 50% of those throughout the year, if they're looking to move next year, they're calling me. You know, that's like your YouTube long game that you spoke about. I do think that the market update is just such an undervalued tool that estate agents miss so often.
Right. Well, I think the most important part of that is you mentioned that those people watch 75% of that video. And so for me, I don't really care too much, you know, there's short form content, which is there to get likes and comment engagement. It's there just getting in front of people and say, oh, Chris is a property guy. That's fine. That's what that's there for. The biggest metric I look at YouTube videos, if you do a market update, and all that, is how long are people watching it for? Because the more time they spend looking at you, you know, your brain is very much on Darwin 1.0. So if I see Ian at Bethwell with my social media and I'm like, oh, Ian, I'll see Ian in an event. I'm like, all right, mate, how you doing? Nice to see you. I love that video you did last week. And you're probably going, who the bloody hell's this guy? Like, that is exactly what you're trying to get to. You're trying to get local famous. So the more time people can spend watching your content, the better. If you're doing short form content only, and I mean, you guys will know this, the golden time we're looking for is 7 hours worth of content here. If you're doing 60-second videos, that's what, 420 videos you need to do in total to get that 7 hour total. That's a lot of content, and they've probably forgotten you because someone's like shred the Lamborghini or whatever on their social media feed since then. But if you're doing longer form content, where they're right, let's sit down with Ian for 5 minutes and talk through the market update. By the end of that, you'll be like, oh, Ian knows his stuff. Yeah. So, and I mean, there's a whole conversation about repurposing that for, you know, taking the sound out of it and making it a podcast and all this. There's loads of things you can do with it. But generally speaking, the more time people spend watching your stuff, the more they'll like you and trust you. So, you know, for YouTube, I can give up monkeys about likes and comments. All I'm looking at is that how long are people watching the content for? That's all I care about. Because the more they watch it, the more they'll trust me, the more I think, actually, Chris knows his stuff. And this probably isn't the best example to pick, but if you're ever looking to wonder what works marketing-wise at the moment, look at the US elections. And, you know, there was Obama doing Facebook back in 2008, whatever it was. Those were the days. Whereas now, obviously, if you look at Donald Trump, the big thing he did was he did podcasts. So he went on to people like Joe Rogan, for example, because he was sitting down there for 2-3 hours. And as people, we think to ourselves, you know, can he blag it and make it up for 15-20 minutes for a soundbite? Yeah, absolutely. Can he make it up for 3 hours? Probably not. So if you did a LinkedIn Live or a live podcast, whatever it may be, for 3 hours, by the end of it, I'll be like, Ian must know his stuff. He can't blag it for 3 hours and not know his stuff. So therefore, that's what we're trying to do. So your goal is to get your voice, your face in front of people for as long as you possibly can do, because the more they see you, the more they trust you. And if it's content they find is valuable, so like, oh, here's a market update literally for my area or for my street or my particular part of the town, I'll watch that. You know, if you came forward to me today and say, Chris, here's a market update for 3-bedroom, semi-detached properties in your road, of course I'm going to watch it. If you come to me and say, Chris, here's the market update for Winchester, I can take it or leave it. But the more exact it is to me, the more I care about it, because all I care about is myself. All I care about is myself, my life, my money. Am I happy? Am I sad? That's all I really care about. So if you can make it more exact to my needs and what I'm at, the situation I'm in, great. I'll definitely engage with it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's very important to remember that people are thinking about themselves, you know, always and throughout, which is why they don't really care what you look like or whatever to jump on social media. Final question from me, Chris. You mentioned it a couple of times here. I saw on social media that you've just, I think it's just released your second book. If you were an estate agent, should you be considering that as a decent marketing tool, or is that more B2B?
So you're a little bit behind the curve here. Book number 2 has been out for a little bit of time, but I'm actually halfway through book number 3 at the moment, and my plan is to finish that in about 2 weeks' time. So is a book a good investment? Yes, but it's a pain in the ass. Full disclosure, writing a book is a pain in the ass. Ian's nodding away here. Writing a book takes a long time, and yes, you can do it via ChatGPT, and it can help you out, all this sort of stuff. I think that hypothetically, I could write a book in an hour with ChatGPT. I would just talk to my computer as much as I possibly can do. It will then put it into a book. It would probably be crap.
Yeah.
So for me, I think there's a lot of weight into sitting down with your keyboard and just going type, 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 type. It will take a lot of time. My first book was 95,000 words after it'd been edited. Before it'd been edited, it was 105,000 words. So, they cut some stuff out of there. Second book was 55,000 words, something like that. It probably takes, I would say, if you're doing a couple of hours a week or something like that, it probably takes 6 months to get it through. So, and writing it is half the battle. You've got to get it edited, covers, get everything formatted correctly. You'll print some versions. You'll see it'll look terrible. You get it all like it's probably pain in the ass. Like it's something that once you've got it, you're glad you did it. And if I look back at step ups in my career, writing my first book, your first 100,000 man estate agency was a step up with regard to kind of like my career and, gravitas and all that sort of stuff. So it's a good thing to do. Just be aware it's pain in the ass. And you need to be aware that the more you stop it, the harder it is. So if you start writing it and you write 10,000 words, for example, and then you leave it for 2 months because you can't be asked to do it, you'll go back in 2 months' time and you'll forget everything you've written. You have to read the entire book, get back in the flow of it again, and then you have to start all over again. So if you're going to do it, you have to commit to it and go, right, hour a day between 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock, I'm going to do my book, or do 1,000 words a week, or whatever you kind of commit to, but you cannot pick it up and leave it. Otherwise, you'll just forget what you've written. But once you've got it, great. If there was literally a book that said, here's how you move home and get the most money for your property in Winchester, you'd probably think of a catchier title than that, but that would be what the message of it would be. I'd have that book. Anything that I do these days, if I get a new toy, so I got a Starlink delivered the other day, instead of reading the booklet, YouTube video, thanks very much. So, people go to the route of least resistance, but if you're trying to build a connection with someone through written words, it takes quite a lot of them. So if you're thinking, I've done one blog post, they'll love me. They won't. They read 100, they probably will.
I think it goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning about doing something different or standing out, from the crowd in a very crowded industry. A book can be an amazing investment of time and money and resource if then you promote the book properly. Because if you get known as in Winchester, the estate agent that wrote the book on the history of Winchester's property market and what's to come next, people in Winchester are going to buy that book, see that book, but you have to promote the book. They're not just going to find it out of nowhere because the SEO title is atrocious. So you need to promote it. But then if you're going and giving all of these books out, at those coffee shops, or you're knocking on doors, like you said, door knocking because they're on the market, and said, oh, look, I noticed you're on the market. Here's a book I wrote. I'm a local estate agent. I just wanted to give you a free copy. I hope you find it helpful. My business card's inside. That's it from me. They are going to read that book and they are going to get to know, like, and trust you. In the same way, if you can put it out on socials and say, here's a little bite-sized clip of my book, you do have content for days by doing a book. We obviously wrote a book and I basically wrote it on behalf of the avocado agents, for the avocado agents that then use in their local market, how to sell your family home in the UK, the things they don't teach you in schools. And for the first 3 or 4 months, we had loads of Amazon purchases, loads of content creators. It was out there everywhere. People were talking about it. Fast forward a year down the line, I don't think any of the agents use it. The feedback was amazing when we were using it, but it's not my place to get them to use it. I can only supply them with the tools. And these are one of the things as a estate agent is you don't need all the shiny tools. I joked about 100 ways to generate a valuation. Really, you just need to home in on 5 to 10 of them and go, these are the things that work for me. And that's what I like about what you said is be authentic to yourself, but also be known. Be known is a key way. And I think that's a great kind of summary for the end of the pod is be known for what you're going to be a specialist in. What's your identity? What do you want to portray? What are you unique at? And get that out there, in whichever way you can do it.
I would see that as let's have a look at the avocado guys, shall we? So I would see that as the avocado guys gaslighting each other a bit, because all the avocado guys, well, you're in a group chat and you have to do your awards and stuff like that. They'll probably think that, oh, everyone's got the book now. Everyone hands out the book. The book's old news now. That was like so last year sort of thing. If I walked down the high street in one of your towns and said, name one estate agent that does a book in the local area, they'd be like, no idea. Do Connells do a book? I've forgotten. So, in the same way that if you go on agent social media, they're like, oh, every estate agent's done that video. Yeah, because you follow other estate agents and you follow all the local estate agents. So therefore, your social media is full of their content. You speak to the average normal person in the high street and say, have you seen this video of an agent doing this before? They'll be like, no, never seen it before in my life. So you're sort of looking in your your pool here and going, well, everyone's seen the book, everyone's used the book, it's old hat now. Sorry, but 99.9% of the public in your areas have never heard of the book, don't know it exists, and it's a new thing to them. And if you look at also probably franchise group, You Move have had the same book for the last 10 years. You know, How to Avoid 13 Steps Toward a Home Sale Nightmare, I think is the title of it. They've had it for the last 10 years. And it's one of their lead sources for the business in a massive way. And everyone gets a book and everyone loves the book sort of thing. You need to be, I'll be treating that like a business card that no one's ever going to throw away. Because no one wants to throw a book in a bin because they feel stupid doing it. So therefore, it is a 6-inch by 4-inch business card that everyone's going to have on their shelf with your face on it more than likely for the next however long. I'd be like, book. Everybody had, valuation, pre-valuation, viewing. I'll buy those a book sort of thing. I would be giving the book out to absolutely everybody as if it was like just a business card, just giving it away.
Yeah, I love that. No, great. Thank you for coming on, Chris. Much value shared there.
Yep, really appreciate your time.
No problem. Thank you for having me on. I mean, it's not often I get to do a podcast at 8 o'clock in the morning on a weekday. So, thank you for having me on.
And if people want to get in contact with you, they want to, obviously, if they want to buy your book, they can find it on Amazon, I'm sure. But to find all of those sources and reach out, what is the best method? Would you say to them, get on the YouTube channel, check things out there, or connect on LinkedIn? What's best?
Yeah, my goal is to be everywhere. I know you talk about omnipresent on your social media, Ian, so I'm going to drop that in there. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. We're not on Snapchat because I'm not that cool and young. But YouTube, LinkedIn, you name it. Type in Chris Webb, the Estate Agent Consultancy. If I don't come up, I'll be very disappointed.
Yeah, I love that. And I am quite pleased that you're not on Snapchat. So well done.
Thanks very much, Chris.
Cheers. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
In a world where estate agents are bombarded by PropTech hype and AI buzzwords, one company is setting the standard: Iceberg Digital. With AI-powered prospecting that uncovers new listings before your competitors, marketing that wins you instructions by putting your brand front and centre, and a fully integrated CRM that transforms how your team works every day. This is not another tool, it's world-class real estate technology. Stop just doing the basics better and start using software that actually moves the dial in your business. Discover icebergdigital.co.uk today. Massive thank you to Chris Webb from the Estate Agent Consultancy for joining us today. The thing that I really liked from that was the message in terms of embrace your individualism and then find what works for you and double down on it. He wasn't, and he also said, we've got the old school stuff, we've got the new school stuff, but actually what he was saying is be you, embrace you, do what you do well and do it consistently and build. I quite like the analogy of the walking or the vehicle as well, like building that in behind. What were your sort of key takeaways?
Yeah, I think I know Chris quite well, and I know some of the avocado partners have spent some time with Chris, and Mike's been, my business partner's been on one of his training days as well, and they're always great value. I think what Chris is explaining there on that podcast is real life, simple, actionable takeaways. When you're talking to someone marketing specific or a marketeer, sometimes it goes over an estate agent's head. What Chris is doing there is just translating it in estate agency language in the simplest terms, but in such an effective way. So I think from this particular episode, a lot of people are going to listen to that and go, I did know some of that, but I'm not doing it. And actually, you're absolutely spot on. There's no reason why I shouldn't be doing it. There's no reason why I can't do it. And then there's just some great ideas there around extra little takeaways, little linchpin wins that you can get. We all know that leads, is a key part, especially for a small estate agency business. But just being yourself, getting yourself out there, conversational, video, whichever method works for you. We kind of joke sometimes about you have to do everything all the time well. That's how you get success.
Yeah.
That is estate agency. And then you got to do it again the next day. So really good episode. Really enjoyed it. I definitely would suggest people check in with Chris, follow him on his socials. I haven't actually checked out his YouTube channel.
No, I'd say that. I'm going to do that as well.
Right.
If that's been a focus for him, I think that's good. And that was proof is in the pudding, right? Don't find me here. Find me wherever you want to find me. So I think that would be a good test. It'd be interesting to hear if people do that and do reach out and find him. For me, one of the important lessons as well, as people get busier, particularly the time of year that we're heading into, spring, summer, busier periods for agents, don't forget what made you the individual, or was that thing that you were doing really well, whether it was last year, whether it was when you started the business. I think that was a really strong message, and he said that he tells clients off for that. And I think that's, again, like you said, probably not something that estate agents haven't heard or haven't thought of themselves if we're speaking to experienced agents. But those little reminders done regularly can make a big difference to make sure that we are doing the basics and doing them well. So yeah, really good chat, and some stuff that agents can take away and implement straight away from my perspective. A massive thank you once again to Chris for listening. If you have enjoyed today's episode, please go out and find him on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you want to do your research. Ian and I said that we're going to have a look at the YouTube channel. I'm Matt Worrell. Here's Ian Macbeth. Thanks very much for listening. We'll see you again next week.